tonight, as President Trump begins his 3-day visit to the Middle East, he says he's preparing to accept a super luxury jumbo jet from the royal family of Qatar to use as the new Air Force One.
I think it's a great gesture from Qatar. I appreciate it very much. I would never be one to turn down that kind of an offer. I mean, I could be a stupid person and say, no, we don't want a free, very expensive airplane.
The Boeing 747-8 is estimated to cost some $400 million. The president's plans to accept it sparking widespread criticism. Former intel officials telling NBC News such a gift could pose massive spying risks, citing gifts from foreign governments that have been bugged with listening devices in the past.
I think it's an unbelievably risky scenario to have a president fly in an aircraft that wasn't hand-built by a company in the U.S. overseen by the Secret Service or other government agencies.
At a news conference Monday, President Trump justifying his decision by criticizing Boeing's delays in delivering a new Air Force One.
We're very disappointed that it's taken Boeing so long to build a new Air Force One. You know, we have an Air Force One that's 40 years old.
Boeing did not return NBC's request for comment. The company produced the current Air Force One. It is a highly customized Boeing 747-200B model that can refuel itself mid-air, is protected against electromagnetic pulses, has advanced secure communication equipment, and military defense systems. The plane from Qatar would need to be retrofitted with the same features. But as built, some models come equipped with spacious lounges, a master bedroom, and a private office. Democrats slamming President Trump's willingness to accept a gift of this magnitude and saying he would first need congressional approval, according to the emoluments clause of the Constitution.
He is putting America's national security at risk to enrich himself. You cannot think of another president who has been so brazen, so selfish, and so destructive of the norms of what America's about.
And even longtime Trump ally Laura Loomer blasting the move as a stain on the administration and saying she is disappointed. President Trump saying the new plane would be a gift to the Department of Defense and that he would not use it after his term ends.
It would go directly to the library after I leave office. I wouldn't be using it, no.
The White House press secretary also saying that any gift accepted would be in full compliance with the law. And a White House official telling NBC News that the gift will not be presented nor accepted this week while the president is in Qatar. A Qatari spokesperson also saying the plan is still under review and that no decision has been made.
And Yamiche Alcindor joins us now. Yamiche, do we have any sense of how much it could cost to get this gifted plane up to par with Air Force One's high security standards?
It's a good question, but we don't know how much it will cost. But Boeing has a $3.9 billion contract to make 2 new Air Force Ones. That's about $2 billion apiece, so it will likely cost a lot more to get this Qatari plane up to code. And the 2 Air Force One planes that we have right now have been in use since 1991 and 1990. But we should note that they were manufactured in 1986, so that's just shy of 40 years, Ellison.
NBC's Yamiche Alcindor reporting from the White House. Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.